a formula of creating a presentation. And we're going to do this by using another acronym. The acronym is CLEAR, C-L-E-A-R. Now, you guys want a little insider secret? Only if you promise not to tell anybody this secret that I'm about to share with you. Are you okay? Are you okay? Shh, shh. This is a secret. You want to know the reason why I use acronyms all the time in my presentation style? And you want to know? You really want to know? Well, the reason why I do it is a couple-fold. Number one is so I can remember it. Okay. The other is the acronym can deepen the message, and then most importantly, the audience will remember the acronyms. Honest to goodness. So far I've talked about 2 acronyms, and I've given you probably within the first 25 minutes of this video, I've given you, tons of fire. I've delivered a whole bunch of fire, and I've delivered a multitude of bombs being dropped all at the same time. Woo! Wee! It's getting thick in here with all the bombs and knowledge bombs. And I guarantee, as good as I am and as passionate as I am, as much with presentation gusto I'm delivering this, you're not going to remember everything. You aren't. Heck, some days I don't even remember everything, and I delivered it and I put it all together. Okay. But what you will remember is probably 2 acronyms. You will remember the FIRE acronym, feeling, intention, reflect upon, and execution. And you will remember the CLEAR acronym. Okay. And I will walk you through that very shortly here. Okay. So let's talk about the CLEAR formula. Let's get over here. Let's do this. So for a compelling presentation, what you need to do is there are 5 steps to a compelling presentation, something that helps people move forward with velocity of you doing what's right for them. Okay, so step number 1 in the CLEAR formula is you will need some curiosity. You need to generate some interest. The person needs to be interested in what you're talking about. Now, here's a couple things. Number 1 is you will not be able to teach everything you know. As good as I am of a teacher, there's no way I can teach everything I know to you in an hour. There's no way I can teach everything I know to you in a day. There's probably no way I can teach everything I know to you in a week. It's going to take a process, and there's going to be years. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to deliver a very compelling presentation with a promise here today. Always remember, have I mentioned this a few times, right? Are you maybe getting the sense that the most important thing that you need to take away from this presentation is always make it about them? That is the most important part of this presentation. So have I mentioned that a few times? Right? You want to make sure that you deliver the most important part of it is it's always got to be about them. And then you also want to engage people. You want audience momentum. You want to keep them moving forward. Now, you and I are having a conversation through a camera and through YouTube and through a web page. If this was live, I'd be interacting. I'd be coming up and I'd touch someone on the shoulder. I would have a conversation one-on-one with somebody in the front row, and a conversation with Alistair over here, a conversation with Ruben over here, conversation with Tom, and a conversation with Joan, and a conversation with Elaine. I would engage. I would land on you. I would specifically look you in the eye. Now, I know this is getting really kind of creepy. It's Russ, you're looking me in the eye. This is really kind of creepy. What the heck are you doing? But I would make a connection. It's called landing. You land on a person, right? You land on them, you make them feel comfortable, you make them feel at home. Now, I'm doing a lot of this stuff with you right now, even though we're doing it via YouTube. What I'm doing with you is I'm asking you to type a comment below. I'm asking you to pull out your camera on this side, take a picture, selfie, post it somewhere. I'm getting momentum for you, because the key thing about audience momentum and presentation momentum is you ask for some small asks up front, a few small things up front to just get them to do a few things. Raise your hand, type below, take a selfie, pull your phone out. You ask for some simple things. Everybody can do that, because eventually towards the end, you might ask for a big ask. There might be a big ask towards the end. Subscribe to my podcast, subscribe to my YouTube channel, leave your email address below. Content, maybe here's an opportunity. We need to have a decision. There really is only 3 of these left. And you know what? I have 5 more presentations that I'm delivering this week, and I'm giving you the first opportunity. A real life decision has to be made. Okay. So that's one of the things that you want to keep doing there is you have engage and you have audience momentum. And I firmly believe Some people, when they deliver presentations, sit there and go, oh, I need to deliver everything. Blah, I got to give them everything I know on this. No, you don't have to deliver every single thing you know. You actually have to deliver what's important to them. And a key fundamental, and this is maybe a key fundamental I had in my dating life growing up, was keep them wanting more. You always want to have them keeping wanting more. And more important than the keeping wanting more part is that they make it all about their idea. Okay. Now that's one of the key things is an amazing presenter who's presenting an opportunity at the end. And you can sense it when you're having a conversation with somebody and they are nodding their head and they're starting to see themselves. Wow, that's a good looking property. I like that. Man, I could see myself in that. Holy moly, only $100,000 investment in that. Geez Louise, only $500,000 to buy a brand new suited house. Geez, that same price property out here is like 1.5 million or more. It's now becoming their idea. Okay. That's one of the key things that you want to do. You always want to do this is eventually make it become their idea. Now, I'm going to talk for a second here to maybe spouses. If you are married, this happens all the time, right? My wife would sit there and come up with an idea. Well, let's go see Top Gun. Well, I got to cut the grass, got to do this, got to do all that, all these things. Man, I got to do all that. And all of a sudden I start sitting back and think about it. Yeah, Top Gun. Haven't been to a movie in a while, right? Yeah, Top Gun. Man, I remember the soundtrack and the feeling in the seats of just everything, things like that. And then eventually about 2 hours later, it's just like, you know what? I want to go see Top Gun. Let's go, right? And then all of a sudden it's my idea. And then all of a sudden Kareen's sitting there going, yeah, geez, great idea, Russ. Right? So make sure you eventually position it as you want your person you're presenting to. It eventually has to become their idea. All right, so that's there. So the first part is the curiosity. The second part is of the CLEAR formula is legendary, right? You want to make the presentation legendary. Now, this is a fancy way of basically just saying is being able to tell a good story. It's just really a fancy way of doing that. Is eventually you want to do is you want to be able to tell a really, really good story. Now, power of story for many of you is think about a presentation that you once went to. The ones that are the most memorable are probably, they didn't teach you a whole bunch of things, although it was impactful, it was transformational, it moved you, it gave you a feeling, and there was an intention, there was something to think about, and actually you did something because of it. It was probably because they told some amazing stories. Something that resonated within you is they tell the stories. Now remember, facts tell, stories sell. Study story. Practice it. Practice story until it becomes a reflex with what you're doing. Now, a couple resources. One of my favorite resources of the power of story is all the works of Joseph Campbell. Joseph Campbell, Hero's Journey. Once you study story and you study the arc of story, the story arc. Once you study the works of Joseph Campbell, you will recognize that story throughout all the good movies you say, all the good books that you read, all the good presentations that impact you, how the hero was ordinary, they got called to a greater quest, they ran into a good mentor, the mentor taught them some secret things, they gave them some magic beans, i.e. Jack and the Beanstalk. There was an enemy in there and you had to fight the common enemy. And then all of a sudden the hero in the journey had to slay the dragon, had to overcome their fear, had to transform themselves. And then when they came back to where they started, they were a changed person. They were brand new. They had a transformation of that. What I just described to you very, very quickly is a hero's journey arc. And if you can start building out that kind of an arc throughout your presentations, throughout your stories, you will have people start leaning in. They'll sit there and go, wow. Yeah, tell me more. Tell me more about this. I want to hear more about all this presentation stuff that you're delivering. Okay. And eventually, over time and practice, like anything, you will find your voice. Now, here's a formula. If that hero's journey is too much, I think there's 7 steps in the hero's journey formula. If you think about if you want to tell a good story and tell it quickly, think about this. Ordinary, extraordinary, transformation. Those are the three elements of an amazing story, is how it started out ordinary, how there was an extraordinary result, and what was the transformation in there. Okay, so what I'm going to do, story time here for you. Let me give you an example. I remember, like it was yesterday, my first ever presentation. My first ever presentation was, and it happened completely by accident, and it happened by I wasn't fully prepared. I was in, I'm from small town Saskatchewan, Guernsey, Saskatchewan, population 247 people. You had to have a dog or a cat in order, then you'd have somebody to play with, right? Small town, but wonderful small town. You were just in the spring, you were out there building rafts and going out and frogging and riding your bike until the sun goes down and mom's yelling out the window, Russell, dinner, small town stuff, like just the simple life. And I remember it was like yesterday. I was in grade 6. Hey, I was in Guernsey Elementary School, and I was skipping down the hallway, not a care in the world, right? Grade 6. And I was singing a song, actually. I had a song. I just wanted to blurt it out. Okay. And I was singing it. And then all of a sudden, the grade 8 teacher came out, Mr. Steckley, Russell, what are you doing? Why are you making all that racket? And I'm just going, I don't know. He's like, get in here, get into my room, into the grade 8 classroom, 15 kids in the grade 8 classroom. But the thing at that time, my sister was in grade 8. Being hauled in front of the grade 8s at that time. I was in grade 6, being hauled in front of the grade 8s. And Mr. Steckley goes, you're making so much noise and you sound like you got a songbird. You're a songbird. Sing that song for this entire room right now. I absolutely froze, and I wish that was the best part of the process, is that I froze. I actually physically wet my pants. I peed my pants in front of the grade 8 classroom. Now, I don't know if they knew or they could tell, but I did, and I knew that I wet myself in front of that room of doing that. And that actually just killed my spirit for a long time, killed my spirit of being able to want to deliver a presentation, killed my spirit to be able to put it out in front of other people, of showing something I was happy about, killed my spirit for many, many years. Not until I started to get into probably the corporate world after university, and I started finding a little bit of a swag. I would go to conferences. I would go to real estate events. I would go to these events that many of you go to as well. And when you go to those events, when you look around, you sit there and go, I want to introduce myself to the players. Who are the players? Who are the experts in this room? And normally what you would see is the person probably standing on stage, delivering a presentation, would be one of the experts. Or on the break, you'll sit there and you see it all the time. There's one person in the middle and they're surrounded by a whole bunch of people, and that one person's talking and telling stories, and all these other people, you sit there and they go, they're leaning in and they're listening, and they're intently listening to every word that one person, whether they were on stage or whether in the center of a group of people, were the players. And so I decided at that time I needed to learn how to be able to present. I needed to learn how to tell a good story. I needed to learn how to be a better communicator. I need to get over my introvertedness and my shyness. And at that point, that was about 20 years ago now, I made it a personal mission to become one of the best in presentations, one of the best, one of the most powerful presenters out there. And now here's the thing, is I'm not gifted with like most amazing presenters are. I'm not gifted with 6'2" height, full head of hair, slick coats and just looking just polished and stuff like that. I'm the hardworking presenter. I'm the one that's going to get up there and I'm going to roll up my sleeves and I'm going to sweat and I'm going to give everything I got to make sure I'm like the every person's presenter. Okay. So I studied it and I obsessed about it and I practiced it and I watched as many people as I possibly could, and I took the good, threw out the bad stuff that worked, and I just tried it on. And here's the thing, 20 some years later, I have now delivered over 1,100 presentations. And even to the point about 3 years ago, before live events got shut down, I had an opportunity of sharing a stage with almost 2,000 people in the audience on the same stage as Grant Cardone. So from a kid that was peed his pants when he was 12 years old to eventually getting onto a stage in front of 2,000 people, that is a huge transformation. Okay, time out. I just told you a story. Now, I went a little longer in that one. I wanted to really play it up and stuff like that. But for you, ordinary, extraordinary, transformation. What was the ordinary? Small town boy from Saskatchewan, peed his pants, right? Ordinary, extraordinary, 2,000 people on stage, Grant Cardone presenting in front of people. What was the transformation? I had to transform myself. I had to study. I had to become the expert. I became obsessed with that. Now, you can take that same formula into how you got investing in real estate. You can take that same formula into why you are now investing into this marketplace. You can take the same formula of why you're here to help others succeed in their real estate investing ventures as well. I sure hope you enjoyed that segment from our recent podcast episode. If you don't want to miss any of the upcoming episodes, a couple simple steps from here. Number one, subscribe. Hit that bell notification button. And if you're interested in watching a few more segments from that episode, there'll be a link up here. Or if you'd like to watch a playlist of all the long form episodes of the podcast, there'll be a link down here. All right, gang, let's go.